Hello, my friends. Michael Misko here, your friendly neighborhood magic director. I am backstage here for my final evening of performances this year at Liberty Magic in downtown Pittsburgh. And a terrific venue, by the way. If you haven't had the opportunity to get to Pittsburgh or get to downtown Pittsburgh to check it out, it's incredible. There's nothing else like it in the world. Speaking of Liberty Magic, a few weeks ago here, I was performing the Razor Blades, and I cut my finger. Long story, I made a mistake. I cut my finger, and a couple things to point out to you. I cut my finger, and it was bleeding. It was bleeding, and I had three thoughts in rapid succession. My first thought was, did I just cut my finger? And that 0.5 thought was, of course you did. That's a razor blade, you idiot. The second thought was, I wonder if it's going to bleed. The next quick thought was, of course it is. It's a razor blade, you idiot. The third thought, most important one, was, what do I have left? Fortunately, I had about 10 minutes left in my performance, but I didn't have any technical sleight of hand, anything that required any dexterity remaining in the show. Why is that important? Well, because I immediately knew that I didn't have to modify anything or very many things. What I did have coming immediately following the Razor Blades was a series of jokes that I tell. I do about 5 minutes worth of stand-up-ish type material right after the Razor Blades. And so when I'm bleeding, I just call off stage to the first thing I do, is I point to the front row and I said, look, I've cut myself, because I had to call out the elephant in the room. If I didn't say that, they would have just started noticing the blood, and then we would have had a bigger problem. I call off stage. I say, Anna, who was my backstage stage manager, I said, could you bring me some Band-Aids at the end of this, please? And she kindly did. A very sweet little old lady in the front row gave me some tissues out of her little baggie, and I wrapped that around my finger. If I had a thumb tip, I would have been golden. That would have been fantastic. But I was bleeding, and I got through the Razor Blades, got a nice ovation. Of course, people thought that I persevered through, adversity. I mean, I cut my finger, but you get the point. And then the next thing that happened in the show was the jokes. Well, Anna came out with the Band-Aids and a cloth to clean my finger. And ordinarily what I would do is I would have the microphone and I'd walk back and forth across the stage because I want that bit to feel like it's stand-up. But I didn't do that. I just stood there. I pulled my table over to me. I put the Band-Aids down on the table. I had a cup of water, and I just cleaned my finger. And I was still telling the jokes. Now, in acting school, we call that performing a familiar task. What is something that you do every day, all the time, that you do by rote? It's just in the back of your head because it's sort of a task that you just understand. You don't really have to think about it. How many times have we all put clean to cut and put a Band-Aid on? You don't think about it. Life doesn't stop for you to do that. But if I didn't know my show, if I didn't know it cold, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to just let the jokes come out and still connect with the audience while not paying attention to putting on the Band-Aid and cleaning my finger and making everything safe for at least the next 10 minutes until I could get off stage and clean it up the rest of the way. So this is a vote for you to make sure that you know your show inside out, upside down. You have your script. There's that word again, script. You have a script that you know is a winner, and you can divert from the script, and when things go wrong, you can get back on the script. If I didn't have that, if that didn't exist for me as an entertainer, if I didn't have a character that I believed in, that moment would have been much more disastrous than it was. If you think you need help building a character or creating a character, please pick up a copy of my free ebook, Persona Non-Boring, the Character Development Blueprint. I have it available on my website, miscomethod.com. And one other note, these are the Band-Aids that were brought to me. These Band-Aids are it's pretty tough to open these, and maybe I just tear it open, but remember my finger's bleeding, and I gotta pull it out, and then I put it on, and it's getting stuck. This is no good. And so I remembered what I saw at the pediatrician's office where I take my kids. They have these Band-Aids. These are called Stat Strip Band-Aids. Watch how they work. Isn't that cool? You put it on, of course I've bent it over, you put it on and you keep pulling and it comes out. You don't have to deal with anything. It's all self-contained. I highly recommend picking up these Stat Strip Band-Aids. They are not terribly expensive. I got mine on Amazon. I think I got 200 of them for 12 bucks. And they were there next day shipping. So those are going to be in my case with me forever and ever. I'll probably never need them now that I have them, knock wood. But anyway, these are just some tips on how you can make your magic better sooner. If I can do anything for you, please reach out to me. Talk to you soon.